yes.
Right, so as you can see, let's go along the beach.
Oh, what a beautiful sound.
That's third gear down to second and then down to first.
So I got a few questions for you.
Okay.
Why the Cali? And did you look at other competitors when you were thinking about purchasing, a supercar?
I've built up in cars over the years, from CLS, black CLS Mercedes, and then I went to a Maserati, which I had for a few years before I got this car. And I was going to get another Maserati, a Gran Turismo, which is what I've had. But then my brother started talking about getting a Ferrari and sharing one, and then I thought, if I get a Ferrari, I get a Ferrari that's a day-to-day car.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to drive it every day. It makes no sense to leave a Ferrari in a garage 5 days a week and drive it on the weekend. And the California is a perfect car for it. It's a front-engine drive, designed hardtop convertible that can be a day-to-day Ferrari.
So the Cali, so you had a Gran Turismo before this.
Yeah.
What was it like to drive comparatively?
That was more of a sedan supercar. This is more of this is lighter, the steering's so much more lighter, sharper, like a temperamental, beautiful Italian woman, in all honesty, and fully computerized, just a much lighter car to drive.
Yeah.
And, so...
What are you using the car for? You said you were driving it. Like are you daily driving this car, or do you have another car?
I drive this car to work every day.
Yeah.
It's the only car I've got. We've got a SUV, but this is my primary car. And I thought, if I'm having a Ferrari, I'm driving it every day.
How is it driving this car in peak hour traffic?
Like anything, you just zone out, and you remind yourself when you see people waiting for trams or buses, how fortunate you are to be able to have the prancing horse in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Enzo Ferrari must have been an egomaniac, because the brand is everywhere, all over the car.
Yeah, actually, when I was doing the video review, I was saying how many different areas you can see the prancing horse, and it reminds you that you're sitting in a Ferrari. But that's what you want. I mean, if you buy a Ferrari, you want to be reminded that you're driving a Ferrari and not something else, I would think.
That is absolutely what happens, because you're driving a Ferrari.
So what is your favorite feature of this car?
The steering wheel and the ability, the paddles, and the ability to drive it as a semi-automatic.
Yeah, I can understand that. And those paddles, they feel amazing being carbon fiber.
Well, they also don't move when you turn the steering wheel.
Yeah, which is
which just means that you know exactly, even if you're turning the steering wheel, where the paddle will be.
Yeah. Have you ever tracked the car, taken it to a track?
No, but I've tracked other cars that I have had.
Yeah.
I've had convertible BMWs, and I had BMWs for a long time. And then after that, I got into the Maseratis, which are fabulous cars.
So I'm surprised, because whenever I've heard of the Maseratis, I think more of the Quadrifoglio and things like that. They're not a very well built car, from what I've heard. But you had a Gran Turismo, right?
Two-door Gran Turismo.
And so how did that compare? Would you go back from this car to, say, a Gran Turismo?
Not if I didn't have to.
Yeah. So this is definitely the step above.
I think I'd stay on the Ferrari brand now that I've had one.
Yeah.
And a good friend of mine who actually just lives around here, lives in that house over the road, has an Audi Q8, and we've gone. An Audi R8.
Yeah.
And we've gone for drives together. I'd go by his place. We'd go for a spin in his car. I'd drive his car. He'd drive my car, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, a great supercar, but it's always something special, I think, having a Ferrari.
What do you like least about this car?
What do I like least about this car? Very little. Very, very little. If there would be one thing, I would say you don't just put the key in and turn it on. You have to wait for the computers and the technology to give you a green light that it's okay to go.
Yeah.
And while at times it can be a bit annoying, at the same time, I quite like it too. It sort of reminds me that you're on a grid and you can't do anything until the boys have given you the green light.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really cool analogy. I've never thought of it like that, but yeah, I suppose it's almost like you're in the pit lane and then you gotta get back off again. I haven't noticed this, but I think it's because I've been entwined in this conversation. But do you get a lot of attention driving this car? And if you do, does it get annoying?
Never annoying, and I wouldn't say I get a lot. I get a fair amount, but it's not a red Ferrari. It's just that little bit more subtle, and that suits me.
Yeah.
To be frank with you, plus my brother has a red Ferrari, as you know, and I couldn't get the same.
Would you have gotten a red Ferrari if he didn't get a red Ferrari?
Possibly, but I really do like that fact that this isn't red and it's just that little bit more subtle.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And did you buy the car new, or was it already delivered to Australia and you just purchased like?
It was already. I bought this car from a prestige car dealer.
Now, is it an expensive car? Like when you compare it to your Maserati, for instance, is it more expensive to service than that car? Despite they probably share quite similar parts in some aspects.
Believe it or not, and this car has very low kilometres. The answer to that is no, relative to what it would cost any car to be serviced, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure, if I needed new brakes, etc., those parts alone are likely to be more expensive. But no, I haven't found it to be a shocking bill when it comes.
Yeah. Now, did you at all consider like, I know that this is a Grand Tourer, but something like a Lamborghini Gallardo or anything like that?
No, too radical for me.
Yeah.
And as I said, I wanted a day-to-day car that was a supercar, but that was comfortable enough, particularly once you get used to the car.
Yeah.
You get used to the fact that you are low to the ground, and it is about the drive and the car and the pinpoint accuracy to which the car performs.
And are you nervous at all driving the car?
No, it's so stable and sharp and light that it's actually fun to drive.
Oh, that's a beautiful sound, isn't it?
Yeah, and all I did was just drop the engine 2 gears from fourth down to second.
Yeah.
Just by playing with the paddles.
On a lot of forums, and I completely disagree with this, right? But on a lot of like forums, blah, 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 people say that this car isn't necessarily a true Ferrari because it's a Grand Tourer and it's a front-engine V8.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to that?
There's like 15 brands on this car with prancing horses and name tags, and I would say get a life.
Yeah. If this is not a real Ferrari, then like, what is a real Ferrari? It's super fast. It's still quite, it's got quite stiff suspension and it drives like a Ferrari, I would say.
Do you want to have a look at that?
Yeah, exactly right. Right, big prancing horse right in the middle of the steering wheel.
Exactly.
And do you have any plans of changing it to something else? Like there's a new Pinarello, I think it's called.
Yes, the Pinarello is a beautiful car.
Yeah.
Not at the moment. This, as I said, I've had this for a while and it's so enjoyable. It's brand spanking new, basically.
Yeah.
And no plans, not for the moment.
It's a car meant for driving. I think that's first and foremost. Like, yes, it's still a very comfortable car. You could take around and drive around town as you do.
Yeah.
But I think otherwise the interior of this car is it's immaculate. Absolutely immaculate.
Well, you're about to find out.
Oh, the fastest car I've driven was a ISF. I don't know if you know the Lexus ISF.
I do.
Monique's uncle has one of those, my partner.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to review that. That was my first car review.
Nice.
Not quite as fast, but still quite fast.
Yeah, but a Lexus. Others would call it a Toyota.
Yes.
Right, let's be honest. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a prancing horsey, no matter what any nut job is going to tell you.
Okay. Let us not pull out in front of anybody.
Yeah, that would help.
Oh, so easy on takeoff already. Wow.
There you go.
That just picks up.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
So, and what gear are you in? Third.
Oh my God.
Third's a beautiful gear in this car. You can find that you can drop a gear. You can drop 3 gears so quickly, and you might still be in third.
Likes the rev.
Yeah, likes it. It's a beautiful. It begs to be driven, to be frank with you. That's why I take it on spins and.
Oh, what a beautiful car!
Yeah.
Honestly, I expected this to be horrible to drive. I'll be honest with you. I expected it to be horrible just from everything I've heard and watched.
Yeah, it's all misinformation. Yeah, it's a car that begs to be driven, and as you drive it faster, it pinpoints even better.
Do you find that people try and race you quite a lot in this car?
I find people come up my ass a lot and give me a hard time and then go around.
Yeah.
Or someone will come up and try and drive next to me. Not often, not much. Nothing that's noticeable.
If you're a car person and you can afford a car comfortably, then there should be no reason holding you back from purchasing that car based on other people's jealousy. Although I think that it's really good that you're really humble with this car and you're not saying, oh yeah, look at me, I'm a Ferrari owner. You're very much, this is my, yes, I have a Ferrari, but I know I have a Ferrari and I'm grateful for that. And I really respect that, actually. I really respect that.
There's also, very smart ways to buy a car.
Yeah.
So my first car, when I jumped out of whatever it was, probably something that you've got now at your age, I jumped into a 3 Series BMW. It just always makes sense to be, fortunate enough. So when you jumped out of our first car, BMWs were such a great price point, and you go to a prestige wholesale dealer that you might become a mate of yours for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or who you buy cars from or whatever, and you don't buy anything brand new. Buy something 3 or 4 years old. So you've got the benefit of the depreciation at that price level and on that car. And if you buy well, because you find something with low kilometres, but is aged, that's a very, very good buy. Because prestige cars get priced by the number of kilometres and by the age of the car.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very clever way to jump into a semi-prestige car if you're a kid that likes nice cars, and you don't want to drive a Mazda, you don't want to drive a Nissan, and you'd like to be in a BM or a little sporty Audi or a Merc. But I reckon the BMWs in the prestige brand are the best brand to jump into, and you can jump into if you don't have that much money to spend.
And what was your first sports car?
I jumped out of could have been I can't even remember, a Nissan or something like that at the age of, I can't even remember what that was, into a 323 Series 4-door BMW.
Yeah.
A little sport model.
Yep.
And then from there I jumped into as I started getting into a little bit older and needed
Oh, look at that.
There's another Lambo.
Huracan Performante.
Yeah. They're awesome.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
God, I need to drive more on these roads.
I stayed on BMWs for a few years after that. Then I had 5 Series. Then I got a convertible. I had about 2 different convertible BMW 3 Series. They were great cars. Light, sharp, fast.